Hello! We're here. It's Tuesday night, childbirth education night with April and Alina with Dear Darby. We love childbirth education. We love birth. We love women. We love the whole thing.
We're so glad you're here. And tonight we will be talking about postpartum.
Yes. So we've been doing series, like a bunch of things, but we wanted to transition a little bit into postpartum because it's important. It's a really important subject, and we feel strongly that we want to educate you guys, especially because, as you know or may not know, our childbirth education course or class is open for enrollment for just what are we? We're less than a week.
A week. We have one more week of enrollment, so that's fantastic news. But here's the deal. Postpartum looks differently for everybody, and some people really loved their postpartum experience. Some people, once they were out of it, could look back and appreciate it. Sometimes it was hard. We'd love to hear kind of what if you've had any babies, what your experience has been postpartum, that first week after you have your baby, and then on through the first year.
Yes, and partly why we wanted to talk about postpartum today. So bring in your stories or some questions or anything, your experience with postpartum. But part of why we want to talk about postpartum is because we are one of the only birth classes that really give you a really deep dive into postpartum, and not just information. We'll show you these as we go along.
These are some of our PDFs.
We give you so many resources, so many things to help make your postpartum experience as good as possible. So while you're bringing your things in there, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you want some serious, awesome hand-holding through the postpartum, then our course is for you. So go to our link in the bio, in our bio, if you're interested. Now, let's see. I saw somebody.
Yeah, McKenna said that our series through her pregnancy has been following closely her pregnancy, and now we're into her postpartum journey. So,
yay!
That's fantastic.
We
love that you're here, McKenna.
Oh, that makes us happy.
You're fantastic.
Because it is, so the postpartum, sometimes we treat postpartum as an afterthought. Actually, most often.
A lot of the time. Because, think about it. When you are pregnant, it's like, okay, the first big thing and the big unknown is the birth, right?
Yeah.
Like that we gotta
or even smaller than that, it's we want to know what we're having or don't know what we're having, and then the birth.
At least that's how I work through my life. It's like, okay, I've got this big project on Friday. Like once I get through through Friday, I can think about the rest of the next thing. So I think that's a lot of how we all kind of approach our pregnancies.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you go into your postpartum with a plan before you even have your baby, then you can actually have such a much better experience, and it can smooth sail a lot better.
Yes, because postpartum, okay, so pregnancy is a really, really great time, and our bodies are changing, and it's weird, and it's unknown, and we're uncomfortable and comfortable, and our hormones are up and down. Then we have the birth, and then postpartum looks very similar. We don't know what to do. We do know our hormones are here. We're uncomfortable. We're comfortable. Yeah. It's like a really interesting.
And now we're bleeding too.
Yeah, and we have a baby to take care of, and it's weird because it can be a very magical time, and it can be a really harrowing time too. And we want to honor both of those, because I actually, with child to child, I have had beautiful postpartum transitions, and I've had terrible postpartum transitions with each child. And now that I know as a doula what to look for, there are stress triggers. There are risk factors that increase your chance of having a really great postpartum transition and not so much. So we want to educate everybody out there and yell it from the rooftops that you can and should, and we really highly encourage that you take a moment to do some postpartum planning.
This is while you are pregnant. So if you're joining
while
us,
you're pregnant.
While you're still pregnant, it's a good time to think about postpartum. And sometimes, again, especially if you haven't had any, well, that's not even true. Doesn't matter if you have kids or not. Like, adding a new child to your life will always look different. Everything will shift and change. And so it's hard to know, like, I don't know, am I going to do well with 2 kids? Am I going to do well with 1 kid? Am I going to do well with 7 kids? Like, sometimes it's really hard to know. And so you just are like, I'm going to wing it. But
which is great. And sometimes
that's what
works.
A lot of us do. But here's the deal. Sometimes it's just you don't know where to start as far as the plan goes. So we actually created a plan.
We have a plan that you can get in our class. It looks like this, and it is a document that goes over, I'll just highlight it. One of the biggest things about postpartum that is really the hardest transition is sleep. And
right? Can we get some hearts or hands or something? Like, is that isn't it the first thing you're concerned about? Like, is sleep, and B, it's just like, that is, it's true. That's why we're concerned.
Yes.
It is an issue.
Sleep is an issue and actually there is a reason why sleep deprivation is a legit torture device because it whacks us all out. It whacks us out. So we want you to plan on that. The formula we kind of take into consideration is, what is the amount of sleep you typically need to function well? Some people function really well on 6 hours. Some need 10. So what is that number that typically works for you? And then we want you to be getting that. We know you're not going to get it with your baby. Yeah. Your baby's going to wake up.
Especially if you're nursing.
Yes.
But in general.
Just in general, we know you're not going to get that, but we want you to have that number in your mind for one reason, that you want to have at least one day of the week or several days that you get that number. So that's making a plan with your partner to come to go to bed early so that they maybe can take the baby, or call a friend or your mother-in-law or a babysitter so that you can nap during the day, or again, go to bed early or sleep in a little bit later and somebody can take care of the baby.
And if it's possible, like again, we kind of break it down. So if you can, if your baby's taking a bottle and you can pump and they can take a bottle and then you can sleep through the night for one night, or if it looks like your partner either staying up late with the baby or waking up early with the baby one night a week or something like that, where
just a little plan.
Just break it down as far as sleep goes. And
it doesn't have to be a big deal.
Because do you feel that way? Do you feel like if I could just have one night that I get some consecutive hours of sleep, I would be a new woman? And then if you ever actually get the consecutive hours, you do feel like a new woman. It's like, okay,
she knows. Handle. She literally has not slept in 8 years.
That is accurate. Actually, I'm kind of coming out of it, and it is amazing. I had some pretty terrible sleepers, and there's some good sleep consultants out there. Newborn sleep consultants.
That's our next
which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But they didn't really exist as I was having my babies.
It wasn't really a thing. We just didn't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and we didn't know.
So giving you sources and references so that you can actually sleep is a huge aspect to your postpartum.
Huge aspect. Very huge. And then we talk about physical recovery, kind of just like make a self-care plan. What helps you to just decompress? And sometimes it's things that you wouldn't even think of. Most people, when they think of self-care, think of like a manicure or a massage or a bath. And that might be, but if self-care can also look like I don't even know, like cleaning your bathroom. Drinking
through the day.
water.
Like getting some healthy food for you. That
Going
you're not
on a walk outside
Yeah.
in the actual, seeing your friends.
Yeah.
Being connected to other people. So that's what we want you to think about. What are some of those things that help you feel like a human being? Feeding. How are you going to feed? What you're expecting to do if you're going to breastfeed or bottle feed or both. It's just knowing where you're coming from. Like, what are your expectations? Even though it's not like a huge big deal, it just gives you a
peace of mind.
Yeah,
a little bug in your brain.
Yeah. And then nourishment. What's your plan for nourishment? Are you
For
going to
you.
do for you? Are you going to do freezer meals? Is somebody going to bring meals for a while? Do you have your mom staying with you for a while? Or do you have neighbors? Or are you going to just do takeout all the time? Or do you love cooking and you've decided to give some baby duty to somebody else so you can do some cooking? We want you to think about that. Sleeping.
Again.
Do you know? Okay, so the first sleeping was you. The second sleeping is, how are you planning on sleeping with your newborn? Do you plan to have a bassinet next to the bed? Do you plan to co-sleep? So this is baby sleeping, but
or in their own crib in a different room.
In their own crib in a different room. Yep. So, and then caring for baby. Do you have a postpartum doula? Are you going to get some help from your family? Things like that. And then redefining roles. This is our favorite one.
Yes. This is an important one.
Yes. So we go through a big, long list of everything that we can think of that you and your partner need to talk about. So it's who's caring for baby, who's going to care for the siblings, if there are some, who will do the cleaning, who will do the laundry, who will do the cooking, who will do the shopping, who will do the errands, who will do the carpools, anything like that, because it's got to be crystal clear, because once the expectation, there is an expectation out there, then things can be managed instead of like, I thought you were going to do it.
And let's be clear here for a minute. We got to talk quickly about the healing process.
Yes, we do.
So for the first 6 weeks, it's encouraged that the first 6 weeks that you really, really take it easy. And there's a reason why. Even if you feel good, even if you had a great birth experience and recovery seems to be going really, really well, maybe you didn't tear at all and you're just fine and all of this, right? But here's the deal. Your uterus was the size of a watermelon, and now it's like a deflated balloon. So number one, it has to contract back down to size of a like orange or grapefruit, right? The size of your fist, and it has to go back. Now, all of those internal organs that were just completely misplaced.
Remember, we're not just talking about your uterus.
We're talking about everything. Every organ in your body shifted and changed slightly to accommodate this child.
This baby that was this big.
So now everything has to move back to normal as well. Plus that uterus, okay, so your placenta, if you have the courage to look at the placenta after you have it, it's such a cool organ, but it's like, it looks like a fatty, it's typically like that fattish, and like depending on how big your baby is, can be anywhere from like this to like it's pretty big. So if you think about that on your uterine wall, that completely detached from itself, and now you have an open wound. You have like
on the lining of your uterus.
On the lining of your uterus, you have an open wound. And if you think about that on the outside of your body, you would need to take care of that, right?
Think of a hand-sized wound
where
on
there's
your skin.
Where there's exposed blood vessels and things that actually need to heal. It has to have a chance to heal. So even if you're feeling really good, we still recommend that you take it easy for several weeks and really nourish your body so your body can replenish its nutrients, replenish its hormones, and have the opportunity to like fix that wound, replace everything, and actually produce and nourish and sustain the life of another human being. So it's pretty impressive. Your postpartum body, it's like, when you really break it down, there's no question why you are like, it can be a serious
roller coaster. Yeah. Your body is doing amazing things. And we probably should have started with that. In our class, one of the things we talk about are the 3 jobs you have postpartum are to heal, rest, and connect. Heal your body, rest your body, and connect with your baby. So this postpartum plan comes after we talk about all that April just said, as well as for those first 6 weeks. If you can do that, your postpartum will look very different. It's when
we have the expectations
or we need to handle it, or we're fine,
bouncing back, like bouncing back.
Yeah.
I just give us some of your experiences if you
Yeah.
have any of like. For us, I know that I felt really good after my first baby, and I was like, I had her on a Friday, Sunday I was at church, and it really wasn't to prove anything. It was just like I was feeling good, and then, but then I honestly didn't know that like, oh, you know what, you really should take it easy. So,
did anyone have that experience
you
where they
feel
felt
like-
good and
yeah.
got back to it, or were you like me and everyone around you was like so fine, and I wasn't fine, but I thought I was supposed to be fine, so I tried my hardest to be fine, and
it made her struggle,
and it was worse. Yeah, it made my experience a lot worse. So let us know what your experience.
Did you take the time? Did you?
Yeah, did you take the time? That's a good question.
Not leave your bed for 3 months, because that is awesome too.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Because this time is for what you need, what you want, and what is best for you.
Autumn said you don't know you've overdone it until you've overdone it.
That's so good.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so we all think we're fine until we're not fine.
Yeah.
And I will have to tell you that my experience of not being fine wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't worth looking like I was fine, looking like I could handle it, and that I could bounce back or whatever. It wasn't worth it.
Bethany says, I feel like I healed relatively quickly, but it took a while for my emotions to balance out.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. That's a great comment. Because physically you might be feeling great, but emotionally...
Yeah, it might be a whole different ballgame.
That's where the rest comes in.
Yeah. Miriam says, I thought I was better around 4 weeks, and then I started bleeding again. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah, that happens.
That does happen a lot.
That kind of lets you know you have overdone it.
Yeah.
That's usually the indication of that.
And it's frankly nobody's business. Yeah, how you're doing, or like to expect anything from you. Absolutely.
And then Autumn. I was told by a doctor that I had severe sleep deprivation, so I was not doing well for the first few months.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
and it can take a huge toll, right? Like when you do have that, and here's the deal, it compounds on each other. So those of you that have experienced postpartum anxiety as well, sometimes it's like you're nervous to sleep because you're afraid that your baby is going to be
going to wake up in 5 minutes, or that they will stop breathing, or
something like that. And so you aren't sleeping when they're sleeping, and then it just compounds on, and then you become exhausted, and it's just it rolls into it. But if you go in with a plan and you're like, okay, I know I'm going to sleep, like I have to sleep.
I'm going to get one
day a week where it's consecutive hours.
Sleep.
Then you can actually kind of not get to the severe sleep deprivation point.
Yes. So Nicole said that she was right back to everything after both her babies, but emotionally it was harder with her second, though she felt fine physically. So this time she's going to purposefully rest no matter how you feel. Good. Because remember, guys, we are emotions and a body. We are a mind, a body, a spirit. We have all these layers to
we're
us.
A holistic person. Yeah.
So we've got to take care of all of it, because if something is off, it's all going to feel a little bit off. So it's important to, like, I love what Nicole said, take this time. You guys, there, as mothers and as women in general, we don't get a lot of like downtime, really. And even this is not downtime. You are sustaining another human being. So it's not. So remember, you're not like not doing anything. Taking care of your body and taking care of a baby is a lot.
It's a lot
to
of work.
do.
So our number one advice when it comes to postpartum is to lower your expectations.
It's number one.
So that might sound counterintuitive, but like your own expectations of yourself, of what you think that you should do or get done, or what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
Just don't expect anything as far as housework or food or anything like that. So that's why setting a plan in place of like, okay, how am I going to get food and when am I going to sleep? Those are kind of the two big ones, but
this really is mostly for your partner.
Yes. And so you need to manage their expectations of you as well. So that's sitting down and having a conversation of being like, hey, babe, listen, I am actually going to be pushing a baby out of my body, and there's
have a
lot.
wound this big.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And my body is going to be fluctuating in nutrients and hormones, and I'm going to be healing. And it's
connecting.
Like a major thing. And yes, and then I need time to connect with this baby, and I need time to bond and nourish and sustain another life.
Yes.
So please be okay that I will not be cleaning. I will not be doing any laundry. I'm not planning on cooking, and I'm not even planning on showering. We'll be lucky if we brush our teeth.
Yes. So let's make a plan.
Let's make a plan.
So this is where, like, it's different. So my husband goes back to work, like,
immediately,
and actually, like, almost misses the birth because he's at work, and then goes with my twins. He went back to work an hour after they were born.
Oh.
So, and her husband sticks around a little bit longer.
He has a couple days.
He gives a couple days. But so for me, that doesn't look like my partner helping me here. But what it looks like is me saying to my partner, do you see all these expectations of me and where I usually show up? And can you show up anywhere here? Can you pick 1 or 2 or 5 things that you can show up? And then how do we need to ask family? Do we need to hire? It just creates the conversation of, this is the stuff that has to get done. It's the stuff I do. And now we need to find, if it's not going to be you, somebody else needs to do it. So it sets up the conversation.
And the nice thing about having low expectations of yourself and managing expectations of those around you is that if you do anything, it feels like a win instead of like that's all I got done.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, oh my gosh, I brushed my teeth.
So it actually it helps you become more motivated and helps you to actually get more done anyway if you have lower expectations, which is a really great way to go.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yes. So I want to tell you about a study that was so cool. And I'll have to link it somehow because it, in the email, I'll link it because it was really, really cool. But they followed, in the study, they followed women up to a year after they had babies. And just to kind of look at, they were specifically looking at postpartum depression. But up to a year after they give birth, the biggest factor of postpartum blues and depression was tension or stress within the social support system. So what that means is social support system is partner relationship, family relationship.
And then like your mother and mother-in-law, sisters, like neighbors, it kind of just goes out from there.
So that's your social support system. So the women that struggled the very most, quote, felt like they shouldn't have to ask. They struggled the most because
they had expectations of other people
and themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they struggled because people were not showing up because there wasn't a plan. There was too much of an expectation, a nonverbal expectation. So, and then the second tier of women that struggled, quote, they didn't want to seem like they didn't know what they were doing.
That's a big one. I would say with my first, that's how I felt. Like I have 3 older sisters and they've successfully had babies and managed to raise them. And I'm thinking, okay, I gotta just do this, right? Because that's what everybody else has just done it, so I've got to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to know or to be judged. That was another quote. They didn't want to be judged. The women that set expectations for their support system before delivery or soon after recorded the best outcomes.
There you go.
Do we mic drop? That is where we loved finding this study because as doulas, we spend an entire appointment with postpartum planning.
Yeah.
Before the baby is born, we go and we create a plan with our clients because we understand personally how the outcomes are so much better and the transition is so much easier when there's a plan. So when we found this study, we were like, oh,
yeah,
this is so
fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
Miriam said that her husband is planning on taking 2 to 4 weeks of paid family leave to help with our house and the other kids.
Yay.
That's fantastic.
Your husband's job wins.
Fantastic. That's
Thank you
great.
for whoever he works for or works with, or if he's self-employed. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So we want to honor that because you will, and honor that for him, meaning he's there. He's not taking time off to just watch you do everything.
Yeah, or
okay,
or
for a vacation.
Yeah,
this is his time
working too.
Yeah,
so, and he gets to bond and connect
yes.
as a family as well, which is really helpful and important too.
Yes. So we love that for you, Miriam. That's a big deal. There was something else here that I wanted to say. Okay. Oh, Autumn just talks about how it breaks her heart for her close friends that didn't get to connect to their baby because of the stress of postpartum. So really, again, just like a birth plan, a postpartum plan is really, really important. And again, like a birth plan, everything might not go exactly like you think it will.
But
same
at
with
least
the postpartum.
You are educated in what your options are, how to kind of help yourself, and ways that you can, or options that you do have.
Yeah.
We also, in our postpartum section, we go over like postpartum depression and postpartum, like the baby blues and things like that, because there's a pretty high percentage of women that actually deal with those hormonal imbalances of depression and hormonal mood swings and anxiety and all of that. So here's the deal. The biggest thing about all of these, and why some women get even like have severe issues with depression, is a lot of times their partner doesn't know.
Yep.
They don't know what they're looking for. They don't know how to respond or act. They don't know how to help. And so, that was probably Alina's biggest issue as well. Alina experienced depression.
Yeah. So I had a lot of risk factors, which in our course we go over specifically all these risk factors just to pay attention to, because if I had known that I was at high risk for postpartum depression, then I would have probably realized that the words I was saying and the way I was feeling,
and the thoughts she was thinking,
were not me. But I just was trying to be fine. I was fine. I can handle it. handle it. So
the overall, the facade, the appearance that everything was going on, and internally things were not okay.
But I'm pretty self-aware that if I had just known, I would have been like, okay, I need some medication. I need some help. I need to talk to somebody. I need to sleep. I need to hire somebody,
let's get some help here.
Let's get some help.
And what that looks like.
And there's also, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we also have postpartum stress triggers. So this isn't even just for postpartum depression. This is just like, this is part of the plan too. Yeah. So some of these include, like, if you're nervous about sibling adjustment, say you're having your second child and you're nervous about how your first child is going to react. Maybe that you have a bunch of family coming in, and that's stressful a big one for you. Maybe it's food preparation or lack of sleep. We talked about that. Maybe it's cabin fever. That is big for me. I am an extrovert. I want to say external person. I'm an extrovert, and so actually it was we missed a couple. I really, by day 3 of being in my bed, I was like, I need to get out of the house for a minute. So if that's something, maybe when your partner goes back to work, like if your partner's going back quickly after work or after you have your baby, maybe that can cause some stress in you. Isolation, pet care. Pet care can be a stress trigger for you. So some of these things that you might be dealing with that you might not even realize, and so it's like, oh, these are stress triggers. Let's figure out a plan for that. So we don't necessarily have detailed plan in place. In our postpartum plan, there's not details on these. These are if this is something that usually causes you a little bit of stress, then you need to create a plan for you and how that looks like for your life. So that's why we're happy to help. Yeah. Like in our class, you have access to us. So if you have any questions at all, we are so happy to help in any capacity. Also going along, so these kind of like bullet points, things that you, especially the risk factors, things that you might just kind of quickly roll off. But when it comes to the partner, this is the coolest thing.
the whole course.
So we have a partner bonus course that we go into detail of just the things that they really need to know. Yeah. And there's things that are in the partner course that are more expanded upon than in just the regular course. And one of those is the postpartum depression. And so this is the partner's guide to postpartum depression. And we're talking like, okay, we've got 4 pages here, but it's broken up in a way that it's like, okay, it goes over the risk factors so that they know, like, oh, yes.
So you don't have to tell them that you're like, hey, remember I had a severe history of PMS. That, you know, or you might want to tell them that one.
Perfectionist tendencies, or
you might not even realize you have perfectionist tendencies, but your partner might, and they might see that and say, okay, I got to just pay attention.
Yeah. So these are the risk factors, and then these are the postpartum behaviors to pay attention to, and they're bullet pointed, and so it actually is really easy to read over, to assess, and to be like, oh, yeah, we're dealing with a couple of these. Yeah. Let's keep an eye on her. Let's see how things play out. If things don't, because here's the deal. By day 5, so there's baby blues, and we go over this in our course, but baby blues is a little bit different than postpartum depression, because once that placenta leaves your body, it is chock full of hormones, and your body becomes depleted of hormones. And so your body is trying to manage back those hormones those first few days and weeks after you have a baby. And typically around day 5 is when you have the biggest dip in hormones. So if you're experiencing some like weepy and some like laughing at one point and then crying at another, and just know that is normal. But keep an eye on it. So if you are having feelings of hopelessness or low self-worth or things like that, and it's continuing, again, the bullet points are fantastic because they can actually assess pretty quickly what they're dealing with. And then it's a whole section this whole section, again, easy to read, of like, what do I do if I think that she might have postpartum depression?
Where do I even start?
Yeah, where do I start? And then guess what? Guess what is the biggest help that can help? Biggest help that can help with postpartum depression? Your partner stepping up. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? For them recognizing, helping. So we detail, like, go into detail of like things that they can do and say
or not say
we
talked about what you can say and what you can't say.
Of things that would help.
Yeah,
that will help. So because sometimes it doesn't need to go straight to medication or straight to a psychiatrist or things like that. Sometimes it just needs some help, and that looks like your partner stepping up.
Yeah.
So,
because that would be, for me, my husband was traveling a lot. And so I was by myself and in a new place, no family around. And I was screaming for some help. And I didn't know how to ask. So I was asking anyway. So, and it was causing such deep depression. I didn't even realize that's what I was asking for. And so if he had sat me down and just said, hey, I can see you're struggling. I can see, I have to go to work. I have to go out of town, but I'm going to fly your mom in. Or I can see that you're struggling. That would probably
have helped a ton.
Anything I just needed to say. Like, should we hire a babysitter on for the next weekend or whatever? Like, even just here's a little hand. Yeah. Like, I'm right here. That's probably all I really needed. And then I could have recognized and then maybe said, I do need some help. I do need somebody to talk to. Yeah. So, because that also is up to you too. Like, no one's going to force you to do it, but you need to be self-aware. And that's why we have all the resources for you and all the resources for your partner, because sometimes you need both of you to recognize that you can get the help that you need and without feeling judged or that you're not doing it well enough or you're not good enough, because that's not the point. The point is, this is a really hard time for a lot of women. And when you can set your expectations and you can have a plan, then your transition, even if you do get postpartum depression or anxiety, is you'll be a little bit more self-aware, that you'll realize, yes, I need that medication. Or no, you know what? I think I can handle it if I just get some sleep. That was another thing.
Yeah.
If I could just get some sleep,
then you can be a new person.
I can be a new person. So we just are, we have all these resources that we'd love anybody, if you're interested in joining Unmedicated Birth Academy.
Yes,
our enrollment is going through Monday. We close enrollment for this summer session, but we will do a fall session in September, so that will be fun. So if you're not far enough along or not pregnant or whatever.
But our 2 biggest pieces of advice are, number 1, lower your expectation and manage your partner's expectations of you. And number 2, what was it? Make a plan. Make a plan, and that looks like a plan for sleep, a plan for food, a plan for all of the things.
So we will have some of this information. We aren't going to link these PDFs because these are for our course, but in the email this week, we will put some information, because if you can't take our course, we don't want you to feel like you're high and dry. We want to give you anything possible to make the postpartum transition smooth.
Yeah, a pleasant experience, because
it can.
And I mean, and we didn't even talk about the baby, you guys. You have a beautiful, wonderful, like, tiny little thing.
They smell so good.
Grows every second of every day, and sometimes all you do is just stare at your baby all day, and you think, how did that day go by so fast? So just know that postpartum can be a fantastic experience.
And it was with my twins, because I had no expectations and I had a plan. So those were, and it was beautiful. And guess what I did all day? All day. I sat in a recliner and I had 2 babies on me, and we'd rock, and I'd look at them, and then I'd feed them, and then we'd rock, and I'd look at them, and I'd feed them.
2-year-old and 4-year-old would just be like around, and they'd get up on her lap too, and then they'd get off and play and watch a show, and that's all I did. Like, and it's interesting because we both actually had the experience of coming to the point of no expectation. With my 3rd baby, that was, I had my second was 6 months old. My first baby was not quite 3, and I was pregnant again, and I had a baby, and I was pregnant again. So I was realizing, okay, with having 14 months apart of children, and then another one, 3 kids under 3 years, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you do get to the point where you recognize, like, there's so much required of you just to keep people alive that you can't do the laundry. You can't unload the dishwasher. Yeah. Sometimes it's just like you get to that point, and it's a great point to get at, because it's in that you realize, okay, this is all I needed, because guess what? Eventually I get to the dishwasher and it's fine.
But don't let having 3 tiny kids or a circumstance like that give you the excuse.
Exactly. And that's what we wanted to tell you is you already have the excuse.
We are giving you permission.
You have a baby.
There you go.
You have, just because somebody else seemed to do postpartum like a champ doesn't mean anything. You get to heal, connect, and rest.
That's your job. We are giving you your job description if you need it. If you feel like you want to just jump from the rooftops and go, that's great. And we hope that you do. But just take it day by day. Just because you feel really good today and you cleaned your whole house and everybody's alive and everything's so good, in 3 days, you might feel like you just want to sleep. And we want you to honor that in yourself, because that's how postpartum rolls.
And honestly, that's how pregnancy rolls.
So, it's how life rolls.
Yeah, like, let's be honest. We both have experienced that, like, even in the last week.
We're tired.
Like, I'm not doing anything today.
So we just love you guys, and we're thankful you're here, and we honor you, and we want you to know that we love birth. We love pregnancy, and we love postpartum, and we love that it shapes us and we become who we are through these things, and we just think the world of you. So If you have any questions, let us know.
Miriam made a good point. I think the hardest part for me was knowing when to stop taking it easy and raise my expectations again. So
I might not have ever.
Right? Like,
I still have very low expectations. And
I don't know. I'm kind of in the same boat. Sometimes life is a little happier when you don't have many expectations but like continue to show up and do what you can, but then just be grateful for what it is instead of like feeling like you didn't get enough done or
I will have to agree. That is good for my mental health. My husband started doing the laundry when I had the twins. When I said, I'm sorry, I'm doing nothing but holding babies. He started doing the laundry and dishes. And guess what? He's never stopped doing. They're 10. And he still does the laundry and the dishes. And he's good with it. And I'm good with it. And we're all good with it. So
it's awesome.
Just there's that.
Yes.
So, and we can all show up for each other. And guess what? I mow the lawn and I take out the garbage.
So there's no such thing as gender roles.
No. So anyway, Kay, look for your email. And if you decide to join us in Unmedicated Birth Academy, we would love to have you. The link is in the bio. You can enroll there. And if you have any questions, let us know.
We love ya.
Happy Tuesday.
We'll see ya.
Bye.